I'm all about making your life simpler in terms of your gardening. This is a new product, and it's from LetPot. And this is an automatic watering system. It differs from a few more things that I've used in the past. One of the first things that I picked up was a Carrick valve. The Carrick valve is basically a float valve that is gravity fed, and I've used this for things such as hydroponic units, reservoirs, tower gardens, and also for bucket systems with passive hydroponics like crack key systems. Now, this is an auto pot valve, and this is also gravity feed. Now, the difference between the two, the Carrick valve, I can set the water level wherever I want it, whereas this auto pot valve has these two floats, and they maintain a very shallow water level, and it's commonly used with trays where you're doing bottom watering of pots. And this is called a Hudson valve. Now, the Hudson valve is also gravity feed. So all three of those, primarily hydroponics, gravity feed. And the Hudson valve is one that sits vertically. If you have a garden or a bucket system that you want to go through the lid, it's very simple to use this and get the water level that you would like to have. The benefits of this particular setup is that sometimes it's nice to be able to grow in containers that have soil or cocoa. It's nice sometimes to have drip systems that drip on a slower rate that help to keep those watered, or also drip through, where you could take your hydroponic solution and drip that into the container and let it drain out the bottom. It gives you the benefit of growing root crops, or there are other crops that in particular will have maybe a better flavor if they're grown in a soil type environment. Now, the benefit of this system is that it can pull water upwards. This is just an illustration, but this little jar here can be anything from a small 1-gallon milk jug clear up to a 300-gallon stock tank. It is suggested that you have the control unit close to the mouth of whatever container that you're using. Smartphone enabled for Apple and Android. The pots have an emitter drip system with a dial on the side. This is going to permit me to do the automatic irrigation much in the same way as those three other systems that I showed you. Quickly inside the box, you're going to have the manual, and also there's a brochure talks about how to get help with the product. You're going to have your easy-to-use connections. That way you can take this tubing that's inside and branch that tubing off. You can cut it, and you could run small sections to each of your pots. The water filter, and that helps if you're running nutrient to keep from getting nutrients clogging inside of this tube. These are your emitters I was talking about, or basically the drip heads, and the tubing just pushes onto those. The controller itself is not excessively large stakes, because what you'll want to do is insert one of those into the top of the pot and take the drip emitters and mount those up high. That way they're not down in the soil. It's just an anti-backflow device. And the other package you have in the box, you could either set this up with like a bracket or with a adhesive pad. If you want to screw into, say for example, a wooden surface, or if you just want to adhere that to a metal surface, you've got options. The other pieces that are in here are little spring clips, and where the tubing goes onto the control unit, to slide those clips onto the tubing first, then push those tubes onto these little barbs, and then use those spring clips to make sure that the tubing is adhered to the back of the unit. As you look at the front of the unit, the barb that is on the left-hand side is what goes down into the reservoir tank. And then the barb on the right-hand side is what goes off to the plants. So if you want to grow in soil from anything as small as a drink cup or containers that are large enough to rival the ones used at Walt Disney World's Epcot Center, the unit that I just showed you is capable of doing both.